Welcome to the Uplifters podcast. This is where every week we talk to inspiring midlife women who are doing big, brave things in the world and who generously share their journeys with us so that we can all get new ideas, new inspiration, and maybe boost our own belief and our own capabilities to do big, brave things in midlife and well beyond, because I want to still be doing big, brave things in my 90s. And so I'm just practicing now for the 90-year-old I want to be. And today you'll meet Corinne Vanderbroek and Edwina White. They're collaborating on an upcoming documentary that I can't wait for you to hear them tell you about, called I Got You. In this episode, we're going to talk to Corinne and Edwina about collaboration. We're going to talk about community. And we're going to talk about what it takes to raise money to get the funding we need in order to do big, brave things and to find the other people who believe in us and support us so that we aren't stuck just doing stuff alone and only taking it as far as one human can take it, but taking it as far as a whole community can take it. So, Edwina, Corinne, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
I mean, and the way this all kind of came to be is that I used to be Corinne's neighbor and always admired her. She was a very just uplifting presence in our neighborhood. And we all remembered her fondly after she moved away. And then I happened to see on LinkedIn that she was raising funds for this documentary. And I was like, well, I don't have $1 billion fund to contribute, but I do have an amazing community of uplifters who I think would be gaga to hear about this film and uplift you and Edwina and the work that you're doing. And even more so to uplift Miss T, who is an uplifter being uplifted by uplifters. It's super meta. Anyway, so let's just start with the story of Miss T so that everyone out there listening can just fall in love with her and be enchanted by her in the way that I now am after watching your teaser, which we'll share in the show notes, but even more so after hearing you describe her and the impact she's had.
Both Corinne and I, our kids go to local schools. Miss T is the crossing guard on the corner of Monroe and Tompkins. She's celebrated her 22nd year.
And this is in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy, right?
Yes. So on the same corner, extremely dependable, whatever the weather, there she is. My daughter's school was a bit further away, but we would always make sure we went through her crossing on the way to our school because there was a hug in it. She knew our names. She would encourage us to dance. Someone to look forward to on the way to begin your day. And as you saw the end of their school day, we would get to see her again.
And I was working on a project because I do documentary nonfiction. That's what I do, freelance. And I was working on a project not in Brooklyn. It was actually in Idaho. And I was trying to get a fundraising together for that, and I made a teaser, and it was about a very heavy, personal, heavy subject matter. And every time I would come back, I would feel so heavy. And every time I would cross the street with my kids and Miss T would greet us, this heaviness would just kind of disappear, and she kind of takes you to the other side, literally, and you feel different. So I started thinking, what if I just, shift focus, because this other project is going to be just devastatingly difficult on so many levels. And maybe come back to that one day when I'm in a different mind space and the time is right. And so I told Miss T, I think you should be in a documentary. And she said, well, I think so too. And I said, well, maybe look at my work, because I have a film that's very easy to find. It's on Netflix, and it's called Sisters on Track. And it's about these 3 sisters that live around the corner. And I filmed them for almost 6 years. And that's a coming of age story that is in and of itself beautiful. But then when Miss T had seen my film, she said, yeah, I think we should do this. So she was on board, which is always great. Like that's the way to start, to have the main character want it.
She entirely trusts us. She will. So within this film, she takes us to her home. She shows us her tattoo. She tells us about her family and her origin story. She's been incredibly generous, and I think she also coached everyone else coming across the street to be in the film. If they, just come on, you want to be in my documentary? So everyone sort of woke up. They love her, though. There's a whole community of people who we've all got to know each other by just uniting with her. So she'll introduce us to each other too, and our dogs and kids. Yeah,
she knows everyone by name. She knows she gives our kids birthday cards. She knows when their birthday is. She puts in cash. Like she is for real. She cooks she hosts dinner parties for Father's Day, for Thanksgiving. All her crossing guard friends come. She calls them my parents. These are the parents that cross the street.
My children,
my children.
Parents. Yeah.
Then she throws these parties twice a year that are epic. And if you get invited, then that means you can be happy for half a year after that. And then the next party starts again. So she hosts them in her house. She cooks.
She gets the DJ in. She puts on a major spread, and she'll tell you've got jerk chicken, rice and beans and cupcakes. And there's always a theme and a colorway. It's good time. And it's various ages. Everyone's from different place, whether they're parents or they live up the road, or whether they crossed them when they were kids. Like it's incredible who's there. The next party, she's turning 59. She's going to have a sneaker ball. It's a sneaker ball. The cake is a sneaker, and everyone's wearing sneakers and prom dresses.
Amazing.
Yeah.
This is a woman who knows how to celebrate and who knows how to create connection. There's so much about Miss T that I want to inspire to in my own life. And, I think in this time where so many of us feel isolated and disconnected, and there's so much research that we recreate the community that we need through loose ties. And it's really interesting to hear how she has taken what is a loose tie, the crossing guard, the person you pass for a moment, and turned those into strong ties.
It's so true. Yeah. I like the ties thing with the sneaker. He does. I'm talking about loose ties that my marriage came apart during this time, and I had squatters. So I had all these really heavy problems, but I have to be all skippity or like get my child to school and still walk the dog. And it was all raining down. And I think both of us were experiencing a form of grief and heaviness. And we came into shooting whenever we were on set, which was outside on the street with parents and kids. And Miss T being such a delight and so generous. So she was always looking out for us during that time too. She sends phone messages, emojis every day.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You talk about trust in here and the fact that she trusted you with her story. But it doesn't sound like this is a person who withholds trust in general. And yet you shared in your story that like she has not had an easy life, but she has chosen this optimism.
I think what I feel very akin to her in that she's very open, but if you do wrong by her, she'll just ignore or shut it down. But it won't build. She's not an angry person, but she'll just close that down. She referred to a couple of people there that did her wrong, and she wishes them well in a way, but just not an intimacy anymore.
Well, there's a real life lesson in there, isn't it? Because what she's doing, and we hear this in the way she throws these parties, the way she remembers the birthdays, the way she makes connection with people. She's cultivating the relationships that are meaningful and good for her. And then to say, yeah, she shuts down the ones that aren't. And like, what would shift for all of us if we put all of our energy into what was helpful and useful to us and just said thanks, but no thanks to what drags us down?
Yes. She said when we filmed during the election, and people were really understandably sort of mournful or terrified about what was to come. And the way she talked about it, because we didn't know how far into didn't know about touching on politics, but there's an undercurrent and a loving current coursing through her, which was, if someone's going to run a red light, she would say, he just needs a hug. So she felt like that during any kind of strife. She has compassion for the person who is doing the harmful thing. This is a small film about big things. It's one person. It's not a long film, but it's a full year of the school year is the parameters in which we shot.
Yeah, so the visuals are, we use different cameras. So we've been working with my small camera with these beautiful Leica lenses that I got from my great uncle, and they're for photography, but I am like constantly trying to focus. She's moving, which is really fun to do and quite hard. So there's that aspect, but then we have the drone. We have a drone, a friend of ours from the school as well. He's been using drone shots from above, but very, very stylistically, poetically done. It's amazing. And I was out there this morning with him to get the last season of snow. So this morning we saw the sunrise, and then we saw Miss T with her highlighter hat going through this tiny path that was created for her to get to her job, to the corner. And we have all these amazing different like feelings, and it just feels like we're making this kind of love story, I guess, in a way, about very matter-of-fact moments. Yeah.
And she's outside all the time. So whatever the weather, so you have rain, hail, snow, sunshine. And so you have all of that within the film. And you also, when it's less romantic, when it's not as pretty, when it's slush and traffic and sirens, she's still, her level of concentration, yes, she's there for a hug, but she's watching all four corners, and she'll yell out or blow her whistle to catch anyone who's stepping into danger.
It's really easy to fall into the trap of thinking, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough influence, I don't have enough friends, I don't have enough education, I don't have enough qualifications, this horrible, hard thing has happened to me, this limitation exists for me, and to feel really powerless and to feel like, well, who am I? I can't do anything. And this is a woman, I think, who shows us at every turn that, oh, no, you just need yourself. And the moment you're in to be present and connect in order to have tremendous impact for generations. And so I'll direct this question to you, Edwina, because you shared so honestly and generously about the place you were in as you began this project, that you were going through a divorce, which is never fun. And I think this was a particularly challenging divorce. And you said you had squatters. So for those who aren't in New York, who don't hear about squatters all the time, people living in your space without permission, without paying rent, really, really, really disruptive and hard. So you were in this place that might have felt incredibly powerless. And so I'm curious what impact your time with Miss T had on your perception and the way you navigated these tough times?
So the marriage was in a sort of it was a confounding state when we started to shoot, and then penny dropped very early on. So I was out there and holding on to my tears and carrying bags forwards and back across the street because I wasn't holding the camera. I was watching and talking to people. I think my work, whatever I'm doing, I'm leaning into the distraction and the beauty. It was a very safe place. My home was not a calm, safe place. That was hard. So sleeping in my home, I had 2 sets of people who I was wary of or nervous about, and I had to perform within my own house, whereas I could be very real outside of my house. But I was in protection mode with my daughter. So anytime I could be out of my house, I didn't mind if people would complain that particular winter that it was freezing cold. I was like, oh, I love it, because it was like a cold water plunge that I could go outside and go, ah. But inside I was very mute. I was very careful and sort of ducking and weaving. And that was for many months. And then eventually with the squatters, my husband ended up leaving, and then the squatters stayed for over a year. And that was difficult because they were like fireworks going off at any time from below. And having that kind of pressure was very difficult. But I had these beautiful places to go, the park, Herbert von King Park, and the corner. So it was a very, like, I would take my dog out, and I have this amazing collaborator and whose work I adore. And, we met in the dog park.
Yeah, I when I grew up, my parents lived in Australia for a while, and my mother had just passed away a couple months, and I heard Australian accent, and I remember from my childhood that was the best memories of my parents together, was in Australia, they had so much fun. It was very lighthearted, and we were all young, and I think they were just in love and very, very happy there, and so were we. So my mom especially had a ton of great, great friends that she would visit, and I thought, oh, how funny. Maybe in my mind, I thought, oh, maybe she knows where I grew up, or maybe we grew up in the same area or something. And then I asked Edwina, where are you from? And I found out that it's like Bed-Stuy, Clinton Hill, that close.
Very close.
Yeah, that close together. And so we never met there. And there's a little age gap that makes us not be in the same school. But it was such a funny coincidence. Yeah, so I would know where my mom went to play tennis. Yeah. And, we were trying to figure out if and your dad went to the elementary school that I went to. Yes. It's just funny and
so bizarre.
Feels like my mom.
And I talked to my mom because my mom's still around at 88. And so I got to talk to her about it. And then we both had the opportunity to look at each other's work. We both squirreled away and had this lovely experience. And then we ended up working on this Sesame Street piece together. And for me, coming from Australia, anything like that's a big time. Like, I don't care about anything else. Sesame Street is where I wanted to live, and now I do. Yeah. So it's not without its, fractious moments and your grouchy gremlins but there is like so much beauty out of the layers and the diversity that felt right in this neighborhood, in this film. And then Corinne's work, it's very polished, Sesame Street.
Sounds like some mutual admiration there. Corinne, I imagine you have collaborated a lot in your career. What is it like to collaborate with a friend and neighbor on something so intimate?
Oh, it feels so just at ease all the time. Like it's very flowy. I think I think we share the same sense of humor, which is always nice. Like that's a great starting point, right?
Yeah.
And we would like sit on the corner sometimes before we started filming, and these dogs would walk by, and then we'd see these amazing shoes. Like that would be our kind of, like, and then we go up a bit and see, it became like this kind of catwalk of people.
Totally.
There's one woman who walks with her parrots.
You said parrots, like birds, not parrots.
Yeah. So the parrot sits right here and knows Miss T's name and speaks to Miss T and has like real conversations, as real as a parrot can have a conversation.
Oh my
Or
God.
just like I don't know, like seeing this humor. And I just really like Edwina's work. She does these beautiful, beautiful drawings as an artist, but then these animations so she makes the drawings come to life with the help of an animator, good friend of Edwina. And yeah, I just thought, oh, how amazing if we could do something that has multimedia aspects. If we can get our budget together and we can find and lift it up even further. But because she tells all these stories from her youth, and we think that might be the place to bring in.
Because that's what we don't have, because she grew up in the foster care system for many years. There's a lot that she does not have a record of. There's a lot of missing parts to her early life. And I think that's where the gravitas comes in the film, the layers. Because I work in collage as well as painting and drawing, I can use materials that I hit eBay and looked at old maps and old subway charts and coordinates and tokens and all that sort of stuff. So I have the materials that are from the place and the time. And so it makes it, for me, more remarkable to think about Miss T as a child traveling by herself on the subway in the mid-70s. If you've watched any, love 70s films set in New York, but
it's a different place.
Ride does not give you any comfort, the idea of that. It's often a very dramatic location. So trying to find the truth and trying to get people who don't live in New York. Neither of us are from here, so I think that's why both of us were nervous that we're telling a story about a woman of color, and we're both white. Also, we're not from here. But maybe it's why we delight in the pedestrian, because it is so different from our pedestrian experience. And the wonder is not lost on us. We don't take it for granted, because I would go to I've been here for long enough, but I don't let it pass me by.
Yeah, I imagine that the entire process of this has been one of, you describe the shoes and the parrot and an act of really seeing your neighbors. And I used to play a game with my daughters called Find the Beautiful. And what we would do is we would look for something to admire in every person we'd see. And oftentimes it would be as simple as like, oh, look, they decided to match their shirt and pants, because like that is a real choice. Or, oh, look, somebody's holding their hand, which means somebody feels affection toward them. And so we would just like really look at every person. And it was like in this time when we do feel so lonely and disconnected for so much of our lives, just by the design of our day to day, there was this real sense of like, oh my goodness, we're just surrounded by so much humanity. And then in a world where all the algorithms are designed to create tension and division, we just felt instantly more connected. And so I feel that happening for both of you, both through your collaboration, but also through this love affair with this one person in your neighborhood, but also your entire neighborhood at the same time.
I think it's also about paying attention. It's like you doing that is live. It's rooting you in the spot where you are at the time. And so all of us trying to escape a lot of the time, to escape, learn more, find out more, and be more. And you can do that without your implement of your phone. You can do that by being in the space and engaging, or not engaging, just soaking it all up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's something we can all do too, which is such a good reminder that it doesn't really take anything. We had a woman on recently who has a project called Compliment Squad. And it was a device by which she created an opportunity to connect with her neighbors. Another woman, Gina Hamaday, also from Brooklyn, was on the show years ago, who wrote the book, I Want to Thank You. And her project was about writing thank you notes to people who in some way did something she was grateful for. And many of them would be the guy at the deli or the crossing guard, right? And so looking for those moments of gratitude. So to me, like when I bring all of these together, I think it is this reminder for all of us that if we are feeling disconnected or lonely, or like we are missing some meaning and some purpose in our lives, it can really be as simple as being present with, or even designing some way in which we set ourselves up to reconnect with the humans in our lives. So you two have made this beautiful thing with so much love. And you've both invested time, money, energy, creativity, trust. So much of yourselves has been invested in this. And now you are at the point where you are telling others about it and you're looking for support to bring it and the impact of Miss T to more people. So let's talk a little about that journey and what's been hard about it, what's worked, what hasn't, and what's next.
When we were out on the corner, it was this, first of all, Miss T is the magnet, right? Like she's the glue, she's the magnet, she grounds you. But the two of us were having so much fun with her. And so I think that was another kind of magnetic force that was going on. So there's a coffee shop on one corner, then there's a laundromat, and we would position ourselves on the corner filming her and everything that was going on. But then sometimes just people would walk up to us and say, can we help? That's when we started to think, oh, wow, this can be a real community project. And so we got some of the parents at the school where my kids go to help us write grants, to help us with the productional elements of getting release forms of the children and the parents to kind of set all of that in motion too. But also, remember the photographer that said they're just so inspired by what we were doing.
Yeah.
So it had this people would go off and I think they would think about the project for their own work as well. One of your friends came to photograph.
To shoot it. He did beautiful work. So people opened up and said, I'm a DP. Do you need any?
Yeah, but like really slick commercial,
gorgeous,
beautiful shots. Yeah. So we have those in there
You'll
too.
See.
It's really, really great. Then another parent said, oh, I can help you with sound. So he came to help with. So it was just like this, like a snowball effect of a feel-good project. That's what it is, from beginning to end. And once we found the courage to get the teaser online and
it took us a bit.
Yeah, to tell.
We were a bit nervous about. We misquoted the amount. We just weren't really sure until fairly recently. A producer made us aware of the amount of money that it would take for potential licensing, music composition, just color correction,
just
legal stuff. Like finishing costs are quite a lot. Quite a lot. But it's not a feature film. It's big, up to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We want to show it locally in the local park and everything, but I think it will have resonance. It is a film that people are excited and sort of thirsty to see because they're they're sort of mired in the tragic present tense of the state of things. So it is a really beautiful action-based local story, deeply local, hyper local,
which I think everyone is now thinking about as a way to move forward,
to be able to do anything.
Yeah, like what's going on in Minneapolis, where neighbors are buying groceries for others, and bringing kids to school, and all the things that you need to hyper locally take care of in order for larger things to make sense too.
Yeah.
So it just feels like the time is right to find the right distribution for this, and we hope it's going to go to all these beautiful film festivals. We've had some of our films be in really great ones.
Yeah.
One in Edinburgh, so
Cannes. Yeah, Cannes.
Telluride. Doc NYC.
Sundance.
So let's hope for Miss T to travel far and wide. Australia.
We want to take it home.
Take it to the Netherlands.
Yeah.
I think
take it home.
Yeah. She deserves it.
Yes. So we need funding for animation to happen, color correction, the music, so many things. We are not very good at that part.
No.
We're good at like
creating,
doing all the rest, the lovely fun stuff. And then we have met some people recently who are interested in helping us out, like you, which is fantastic. That we do need it to do the best polished job. And assistants, any professionals who are willing to possibly lend their time, that would be amazing too.
In kind.
In kind is pretty much how we've
rolled.
Yeah.
I love it.
Now.
So most of the folks listening here not only are uplifters, but are people who want to do big, brave things, maybe don't always know what they want to do, or are struggling to get traction and make progress with the big, brave things they're doing. And so I want to try to synthesize some of the lessons that I take from your last answer. And the first, I think, is really the most fundamental, which is this idea of starting hyperlocal. Helen Arteaga Landaverde, the newly appointed Deputy Mayor of Health and Human Services, was on this show years ago. And she shared with me something that fundamentally reshaped how I think about change making, which is start on your own block.
Yes.
And so this idea of starting hyperlocal with what really directly impacts you and your closest community, even if it's affecting people globally, it is close in.
Yes.
And so I think there is that core lesson, and then allowing the other people who are impacted by this lesson to become, or impacted by this need to become collaborators, because it's lonely work doing big, brave things a lot of the time, unless we do as the two of you have done and do it visibly. And share openly about the vision and the idea and the opportunity, and use it as a point to connect with other people who care about the same things that you do. And then third is the willingness to accept help, right? Because I think one of the risks that a lot of creators stumble on is caring so much makes us sort of overprotective of what we're creating. And so we don't allow help to buoy us and to expand the sense of possibility. And so there is, I hear in your answer, just this real freedom and openness to say, help us. And it's something I hear again and again. And the nonprofit that has helped tens or hundreds of thousands of people, or the piece of art that has impacted people globally, is a willingness to receive the support. And oftentimes to do it in kind, and to say, well, I ask every guest at the end of each episode, and I'll ask you in just a moment, to say, okay, as uplifters, we love to uplift other people. So how can we uplift you? And the answer I get most often from these really successful grassroots folks is, if you have a skill and this matters to you, please contribute your skill. And so we don't all have to be the initiator.
Yeah.
Every initiator needs supporters, and every supporter needs initiators. And then the final piece of this, I think, is just asking questions and inviting other people in to expand the vision. So now, how can we uplift you? How can we uplift the vision and possibility of Miss T and her story and your work in collaboration?
Well, I think any support right now, that if people are, listening or watching, if there's a spark where they think, oh, I would really, there's something I want to talk to these, these creators about. We're very open to any kind of support because there's still such a long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's also, people might think, oh, I'm actually looking for an artist for a project that I'm working on,
or I have a story that is within the parameters of I got you. Like I know someone else is, because people have asked us, what are we doing next? We do have to do this and polish it off. So that it is something that we would ask is skills in those areas that we'd mentioned in filmmaking, but also we don't need a lot of money from a few people. We need a little bit of money from a lot of people. So that's I think that would be great if you contributed the expensive coffee amount to our film. That would kick us along that little bit further.
And there's a GoFundMe that we'll share.
Yeah.
There's a GoFundMe.
And
we thought
I would say have a look at the opening sequence and pass it around.
Yeah.
Because it is, wherever you live, relatable and joyous. I think it's we get to the weight of Miss T's story when we show you the rest of the film, but hopefully there's enough in there to make you want to come along on that ride.
I love it. Yeah. I just had an idea too.
Yeah.
In our local town art council, you could come and talk about the making of the film, share the teaser, and maybe get some donations.
Yeah.
And so I share that because I think like there are so many avenues, and when we all think together about ways to open those doors, so many more doors open. And in general, like we want to have a positive impact with our lives. And so whether it's through skills or time or simply sharing this teaser and helping make other people aware of it, and down the road, screening it in our local communities and becoming champions and a part of this team with you would be such a joy for so many of us. So every guest on the Uplifters nominates another guest. And I know it's asking a lot of you two people who know so many amazing, inspiring folks. Who would you like to nominate, Edwina and Corinne?
We've got a person in mind.
Her name is Salome Ralima, and she's also a filmmaker and a writer. And we met her on the corner, and we danced with her at one of Miss T's parties, and kind of started a friendship, more work friendship. So we show her our cuts, and she replies, and
she's very engaged and engaging. Like she really is. There's something incredibly warm and wise about her, and she's always working on something fascinating.
She's working on a film about bell hooks. And cool. that was actually because that was the book I was reading when I thought, I have to do this film. It was just all kind of, and then there she walked in the frame and started asking where she could buy, fluorescent paint, the color of Miss T, so that when she opens the closet, she thinks about Miss T. And then I thought
fluorescent yellow.
Yeah. So then
jacket.
We thought, who's this woman?
Yeah.
And then she told us about, that she's working to try to get this Bell Hooks film made. She should be your next guest, I think.
I can't wait to talk to her. She sounds amazing. There are so many uplifters all around us.
Yeah.
But if you listen to the news or look at social media, you would get the sense that like the world is full of evil and hatred and meanness. And there is plenty of that. And there's so much beauty, so much compassion, so many inspiring folks like the two of you, like Miss T, like Salome. And just like Miss T, and I think she's such a perfect evidence of this, the research shows that when we spend our time with people who inspire us, who live in the way that we want to live, we are more likely to both be happy, but also to emulate those behaviors.
Yeah, it provokes resilience. It's like, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, facing difficult things is really so much easier if you have these wise, beautiful people who used to be strangers. Which is just like just that little bit of the offerings and the generosity are noted, and they build friendships. Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for your time. I can't wait for this film to come out. I can't wait to share it and to keep cheering you on all along the way. And I can't wait to see you at Uplifters Live and for you to meet all sorts of other amazing folks who I think will really be energized by this story as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching the Uplifters podcast. If this inspired you, hit subscribe and tap the bell to stay uplifted. Give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs a little lift today. Big love.
Painted water sunshine with rosemary and thyme. Dwell in the perplexing, though you find it vexing. Toss a star and hover, be your own best lover. Relish in a new prime, plant a tree in springtime. Dance with idle hindsight, bring the sun to twilight.